Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So for those of you who are regular viewers of my American Truck Simulator series, sadly it looks like that is going to be coming to an end. You may have noticed that I've missed a couple weeks, and that has happened just because of a combination of things. Life's caught up with me, I've got less time, but then with the less time I've just been trying to find a path forward. And it's starting to look like a key mod Midwest expansion, which I think recently had changed or was going to change to 50 United. I don't know that that's going to be maintained going forward. And that was a big part of what we had in the center of the country. So if I remove that mod from the series, we would have just had coast to coast, which is less than inspiring from a road standpoint through most of the Midwest. So I just was not real interested in doing that. In addition, there's other things like the Caribbean connector, so that meant I probably would have had to take the Caribbean map off. So things were starting to fall apart. And since I started that series, we've had several additional states come online: Montana, Texas. We've got the announcements of Oklahoma and Kansas that are coming, and those have been out for a little while, so there's a possibility those things might start dropping. So I've gone ahead and decided I'm just starting a new series at this point from the beginning, but to avoid the fiascos I've been having, I'm just basically doing base game with some general mods to just add a little more realism to what we're seeing as far as vehicles and stuff. So I'm using a lot of Jazzy Cat stuff. I've got, some of the mirror things I use, so nothing that should become too challenging when we have updates, because 1.47's been out for a long time at this point, and continuing to run at 1.46 and so forth just wasn't making a lot of sense. So that's what I've got here at this point. You can see I've got about 19 mods loaded in. Just take a quick look. So again, a lot of the traffic, I've got the US State Police pack, all the gas stations, advertisements, roads, so forth. The one thing I've put back in is realistic traffic, because I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. But I may be able to introduce different things. I'm not doing real economy because I want to still be able to use my VTC Viva Trucking to get credit for what I'm doing and so forth. But at this point, I just feel there's enough maps in the game compared to where it was before, where, I don't know that I even had Wyoming. So it's like we've gotten 3 pretty large states that add a large area. There's others coming. I think we just allow SCS to move us forward over time, and in the meantime we just kind of have some fun and drive around. So if you're up for that, that's what's going to be going on here. Okay, and immediately after that, I tried to start the game and it exploded, and I think it was the traffic density mod. So I found this one, never used it. Gonna give it a try. Okay, so we need to select the city that we want to start in. And again, we've got a pretty good map. We're gonna be getting Oklahoma and Kansas, and we'll be getting others soon, but at this point I figured, there's enough going on here. Let's just try to avoid the craziness. So I tended to start in Utah. I'm still tempted to do that. I think I used to do like St. George because it was lower, but maybe Salt Lake City. That puts me in the center, and it gives me, I think, the best option. But I could start over here in Texas. So I think what I'm going to do, I was really debating Colorado and Texas, because obviously that gets me back into kind of newer maps, where here there was a tendency to go to Nevada, California, Arizona, and so forth. But obviously, I can just head off straight to Colorado or whatever and go on down. But the other thing that kind of sealed the deal is one of the things in 1.47 is they added custom city intros to Utah and Idaho, and I don't think they exist for like Wyoming and Colorado and so forth. So I'm not going to see a city intro except when I first start things, so I decided to still stick with Utah, but rather than do St. George down here, I'm going to do it up here in Salt Lake City. Alright, so we've got a simple mortar job from Salt Lake City to Salt Lake City. They always give you kind of a local run for $434. So there we go. Welcome to American Truck Simulator. You have your chance to drive a truck. You own a transportation company. And we're moving from the FedEx dock in Salt Lake City. And of course, we've got a vehicle. And I forgot doing that would immediately stop us, but we got a little bit of the intro. So, alright, so it looks like it put us in a Kenworth here. So I think I need to go that way. So some of the other things I've got differently. I've left most of the game settings at default. I do have the adaptive cruise control, which is something new, turned on. Just to see how that's going to work when we do things. I have it set at the medium setting, which says it's going to detect, I think, about 100 meters away. They also have sound fixes in the GPS, so you can see she sounds a little different. So we're giving that a try. You know, and part of it was, I think 147 did a lot of things with sound. So I'm just going to be curious how all this goes. Alright, looks like we can swing out. Let me just keep looking to make sure. Alright. And hopefully stuff won't crash on us, but obviously with a new run here, we just don't know. We've obviously got to rediscover everything, and we'll figure out, you know, how we build the company and so forth as we go. So I was debating, like, do I just use an existing profile where I've done a bunch of stuff already and just am further along rather than starting over, but I guess the real question became why. Alright, well, I am liking the fact it seems to tell me things earlier. Yeah, the Kenworth doesn't have a lot of options on the dashboard. Alright. So we'll go here. I don't need the map on the infotainment display because I've got the pop-up that I have floating around. So the local job is not going to be very far. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. But really the decision to do it was the ATS series I was doing required the most amount of fumbling around. I mean, again, I've gotten a good amount of the maps were updated, but, you know, most importantly, like Reforma, which is obviously where we were, there's a possibility I'll revisit that series if things change in the future. But it looks like, I think Jace Meister is the one who is doing Midwest expansion, and after digging and digging and digging, just trying to find any information, because on the SCS forums, like, the link for the map is gone from the maps thing as far as the discussion even. So there was nobody really talking about is it available or so forth, but I did end up finding, I think it was a Facebook page or some other location where he basically said, I think back in April, that he's been having for the last few months a lot of issues. And actually, I think it was the Patreon page. And that was obviously before 1.47, and so it just sounds like he had some personal things going on, and the reality is they may or may not return when someone's going through stuff like that, depending on what's going on. I mean, I certainly don't have anything significant that has changed in my life, but the things that have changed have caused a pretty significant change in my ability to just kind of get content together in general. And so that's one of those where it was kind of weighing on me. Do I want to keep doing this? I'm coming up again on what should be the release date for another video in the ATS series to stay on that 8-day cycle I was doing with the trucking series to fit in between all the farming simulator content. And I finally was like, you know what, there's enough complexity and enough stuff that I'm trying to juggle, and things are falling through the cracks already. So let me simplify my life here. I think I can get in there. I'm not sure if that guy's going to let me go. Now he did. So again, we've got the whoops, I don't need to be going backwards, but so we've got realistic traffic. So we're going to see just really what this feels like and so forth. So far, I think it's pretty good. I would imagine, on a Monday at 10 a.m., this feels okay. It's not insane. As far as settings for things that happen, the other big difference I've done is I've left the random events and the detours set to the game default right now. It's been a long time since I played this game with that. Usually I turn those way, way down because I'm just more interested in going and doing things. But now that I've been playing for a while, and again for this series, I could introduce some interest, because I'll have to pay attention a little bit more to what's happening around me and so forth. We do have the road textures mod on, so the roads should still look pretty good and so forth. But the thing I didn't know, again, because I've not used the realistic truck thing, it talked about impacts to frame rate, but because I've got a pretty beefy PC, I think, by ATS standards, I thought, this still does that fun stuff where they stop really, really late. But I thought, I'll give it a shot. And if it starts to act weird or whatever, I may have some awkward edits and so forth where I'm suddenly modifying things. But I'll try to make changes, if I do any, in between episodes, or at least in between jobs. Yeah, she sounds more GPS-like. I'll give her that. So you know what? The other thing I'm going to try here, I think it could turn out to be a real disaster, because I've kind of already got a bit of fake mirror setup and so forth. I'm going to try to stay in the cab for this series, which I've not done. I don't do it in my European series, and so forth. So I'm going to see if I can do this like a trucker. And if it gets ridiculous, maybe I'll rethink it. But so we'll just see. Because, my problem is it's that blind side that I can't really tell. And once again, I'm looking, but I can't. I saw where it was, but what I can't tell is, am I close to stuff on the other side? I mean, this doesn't appear to be terrible, but I don't know. Let me go forward a bit so I get a better view. I can see that I'm not really lining up on the dock. Obviously we need to have kind of what we are doing. Yeah, let me do this. Now I can at least see the trailer on this side. Because the one thing that you don't have, I think, is quite enough visibility that you normally, I think, would as a truck or otherwise. And so there's a little bit of that challenge. Let's see, what do I want to do here? I think this will work. I just want to straighten it out though, because I'm kind of lining up on the dock door. Alright, so the first experiment isn't too bad. So let's go ahead. Alright, so we've got a little bit of an achievement, a base reward, 47 experience. You know, nothing too exciting that we're going to get right now. Alright, so if you've played the game before, this will be familiar, but if not, you know, you get a base headquarters here in your home city. So picking Salt Lake, you know, we've gone ahead and done that. I'm assuming, again, this is kind of a custom city intro that is letting me do this. Basic garage, it may not be much, but it's a start. So we just get, I don't remember if it's just one bay or if we do have 3 already. Unfortunately, you haven't got anything to park there yet, so there are no trucks in sight. Once you've earned enough money and bought a truck, you will be able to move in the world freely and run your own business from here. Good luck. So yes, in the beginning, obviously, we are a contractor. So the other thing we've got, so you can see, you know, we've got our 0.01% explored. But, you know, as I said, I mean, if we zoom out, I mean, there's places to go at this point. You know, where it used to be, like when I started, like Colorado was just coming out. So it was like, you know, we've added Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. I think, I don't even know if Idaho was out at that point in Texas. I mean, one could argue, you know, maybe we don't have enough because we're not able to get anywhere beyond that, but this will be good enough. So the other thing I'll be able to do is external contracts by doing this, because I can use the World of Trucks jobs, which I couldn't do with all the map mods and so forth, because they're just not compatible. So things are linked up to do that, but obviously you can't do that until you have a truck. So at some point you get access to the bank. You could potentially go ahead and take out loans and so forth, but, you know, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. So the new career mode in 147 gives us some visibility here, so it'll be something to, you know, take a peek at. I have to figure out what kind of truck I want to use. Typically I do a Freightliner. I had been using that Western Star, which was fine. I think they've introduced a few other things. You know, the delivery log here will make things pretty obvious of what we've done. It'll also help with my VTC, and that I can always go back and enter jobs that I missed in the past as well. So at this point, I think this is short enough. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab another job, and then maybe we'll level up here. So the real companies appear to be working. So I have things set on route length, kind of shortest to longest. You know, the nice thing out of Salt Lake City is I think we're going to have a lot of options. Now, again, we are limited right now because we don't have any skill points. So the farthest we're going to be able to go, I think, is 250 miles. You know, and the question really becomes, you know, what do I want to do? But right now, I'm wondering if my price per distance is really what I want to look at. So actually, I want it in the other direction. And so we can see the fuel tank, which gets us into Wyoming, is going to be the longest distance that we've got. And it should be pretty simple, I think. The benefit here is I am at FedEx, so if I took something that was at FedEx, but it's not that far away to pick the other thing up, so I think this might be a worthwhile endeavor. So let's go ahead and grab this as our first real job that we get to make a selection on as we embark on our trucking career. Alright, so we've got a Volvo. Again, I don't think I have anything. Alright, I don't need anything on the infotainment. And I don't think I have a lot of choices on my... Well, I can do my cruise control on the dashboard. Oh, that's right. We don't have to go get jobs in this case, so that makes it a little bit easier. Obviously, it's been a while since I've played as a contractor. I'm like, where do I need to go? So, yeah, it doesn't really matter where we pick the job from, because I'm not driving my truck to go get it. Alright, so I need to head over here. So, nice construction rig there. It's not as big as some of those trucks can be. I think I've seen like ridiculous ones. Alright. So this one is mine. So we got some kind of a mine thing. Well, I'm going over here to the viewpoint at this point because we can. Like, we're here. Why wouldn't we take advantage of taking a look at this crazy mine? So I'm going to pull over here. Those are a couple little tumbleweeds. I was worried they were rocks. But yeah, this looks like a big strip mine, I think. So let's see what we've got here. The Bingham Canyon Mine. I think I've been here before. So, nice mine administration building. A couple folks. Looks like, you know, we're here during the workday, which I think we would be. I think it's like 10 a.m. It's a pretty nice building. It doesn't look like you can get in there, but I guess to have the cranes and so forth be able to move, you need a higher ceiling to be able to move things around. That's the truck I think we just drove by. So they haven't really shown the mine. We've just kind of been looking at things around it, but you would think like a view of the mine itself would be worthwhile. Yeah, it's pretty messy. They're sweeping, but they're not moving anything. But maybe they need better brooms. Maybe there've been cost-cutting measures. There we go. Now we're finally going up. So yeah, there is a truck moving along over there. Yeah, we're over there now. I'm like, we should be able to see ourselves, and we can. Oh, yeah, probably having the picnic benches right there so people can overlook the mine. Looks like they're doing some sort of a news report or something, talking about the mine with folks. All right. So, our first viewpoint already. Just need some discoveries of, I mean, we'll get cities and all that, but, you know, recruitment centers, truck dealers, because right now, like, if I get to the point I can buy a truck, I can't do anything. So typically what I do, and I don't know that I'm going to deviate from that, is, yeah, I slog along until I've earned my money, and since we're not doing anything with the economy or anything, again, I just want a series that's really not heavily modded in any way. I just think that's what I need at this point. Just kind of go back to basics and, hey, what do we have here? But the jobs aren't going to be bad. I mean, we're going to get 7,000 here. I mean, yes, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a truck, but we can get there before we know it, even with some smaller jobs. You know, 30, 40 jobs at this rate, we'll have, you know, $200,000, and that should be more than enough to do what we'd like to do. So, and that I think is going to be part of it too. I don't know that I necessarily want to kind of go crazy on the jobs. I don't want 3-4 hour episodes. I don't know that I saw a huge draw for those. If people do want something, you want good long episodes, let me know in the comments. But other than that, I think I'm going to kind of keep this to just short little jobs and go from there so that the episodes don't get too crazy. Well, so far I'm liking the GPS trigger points a lot better, because like that let me know way ahead of time what I needed to do. We'll see if it sticks that way. Alright, nobody coming here. I shouldn't have to swing out too far, but always good to check in both directions. Alright, out on the open road for the first time. I mean, the one thing we know is we'll have good, consistent SCS quality scenery here, because that's what we're doing. So let's see. Whoop, it's only 50, so we'll set ourselves to 55. We'll see, there we got some motorcycles. I think the traffic mod was talking about that it does motorcycles. It also controls somewhat the spawning so that you don't see like a ton of police vehicles. It tries to keep it, realistic as well. Alright, let me slow down here. Just want to be careful. Because once again, if I can avoid tickets, it does track all that kind of stuff now, so I'm not going to be able to hide from you guys if I'm a terrible driver, and I think those that have watched me know I'm not incredibly adept at avoiding things, but I'm just going to try to be kind of more realistic that way in the game. Like I said, where I'm not getting out of the cab, I'm trying to be a little bit more immersive. I'm in the world rather than in the sim type of thing, so that while I'm here, I'm in the truck, I'm doing what I need to do, even though we can flit around the country that we can get to and just take jobs here and there and whatever, but that's how it functions, so there's nothing I can really do about that. Alright, City Hall.
Get ready to turn right.
So I thought we were on the open road, but this can't be. Still Salt Lake, but maybe it is. So maybe we didn't go very far. Alright, just watching my mirrors so I don't hit anything, because that's kind of the realism I need to pay attention to. So we got a Walgreens truck. Whoop. That's pretty real. Cutting in front of a truck, just, you've been waiting and waiting, and suddenly you're like, yeah, I want to get by this Walgreens dually. Whatever. Yeah, so for those who might be joining one of my series for the first time, given that this is a introductory episode, there might be a little more interest. Ooh, well, it's not telling me where I need to go. Does that mean I need to go straight? I'm assuming it does. Yeah, I guess we need to get to the other side. Okay. I've got some background in the transportation industry, and that the company I work for, we provide software and stuff to them, so I have a little bit of knowledge that way, but I'm not going to claim to be an expert by any stretch of the imagination. That's really how I got into American Truck Simulator, which was the first of the SCS products. Then I had gone to Euro Truck Simulator later, but there were people who worked for the company who kind of talked about, oh yeah, there's truck drivers that they drive all day and then they come home and they do this, and was like, well, if it's good enough for a truck driver, it must be pretty good. And I tried it out at one point a few years ago and fell in love with it pretty quickly, and here we are. Alright, let's get our signal on, because again, I would say I do like what I'm seeing with the traffic so far. Now, I did talk about, like, merges can still be challenging, so I think it can't overcome the stupidity of the game's AI. Oh boy. He was coming up pretty fast, but we avoided a wreck, so we'll let them go at this point and speed up. But yeah, it does feel like I'm what I would expect, like when I drive on the highway and so forth, so I'd say right now it feels natural, which is a great thing for a mod. In the cities it felt good. It didn't feel like it was overblown, because that's always the challenge. If you've got too much that the mod puts in and you can't move, that's no fun at all. But midday like this, yeah, you'd expect outside Salt Lake City, not that far away, that things would be pretty significant. Let's see. Oh, I can only go to 65. I wonder if that's... I think I have speed control turned on. I'm thinking that might be why. This is adaptive cruise. So I'm not doing anything. I'm not slowing down. But I'm going to pass, because again, we have a little bit of confusion here at the junction. But yeah, that makes it a little easier. I should hopefully not be slamming into people that way. And given that modern trucks would have that, it seems like a realistic thing to be doing. Oh, we've gotten some mail. I forgot about that. We usually do that. I think that was once we get going on our first load, it will do that for us. Alright, so now can I... No, it won't let me go beyond 65, so I wonder... Because this isn't a World of Trucks job, which has speed limits. That's interesting. But I suppose that's okay. I mean, if that's what it will do. Now, am I going to be able to get over here? Yes. Alright, so the traffic is probably real. It is a little bit disconcerting, I will say, because it seems like a lot, but I haven't been playing a series with a realistic traffic mod in anything I've put on the channel, so it might just take some getting used to, but I think that'll make it a little bit more interesting across the board, because I'll have to pay more attention. Alright, so we've got to go into the way station. It's been so long since I played ATS and driven anywhere. I mean, Mexico doesn't have them. I'm out of practice with all this stuff. Alright.
Finding a new route.
Well, the GPS still gets confused with that. So, loaded right lane, that would be us. Evanston, there's a city like that outside of Chicago, too. But we are not there, since Illinois is not in our map.
Keep left.
Alright, let's see. 37,481 pounds. Just turn our signal on in case someone's coming up. And we'll get ourselves moving. Hopefully we can merge pretty smoothly here. Just seeing how it's looking.
Keep left.
I think we're alright. So, let's see. Rock Springs. We're on I-80, exit 3, so I'm assuming we're coming up on the border. Looks like we got a bus coming up. I'm not sure that we'll get there before it merges. Let's see, I'll just move over to be nice. Probably the safer and the correct thing to do. Alright, well now he took off. That's typical too, I would imagine, where it's like, yeah, we're going slow, I gotta move, and then suddenly they take off, because they can go faster than we can. So I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the speed limit, the limiter thing, because it won't let me go faster than this right now. And again, I don't think it has anything to do with the type of contract I've grabbed or anything. But, you know, let me know down below in the comments, you know, what you think I should operate with on the settings. Like, do I cap myself at 65 and that just is how we get around? Or am I allowed to go the truck speed limit versus my company limiting me a bit here? I'm trying to figure... Oh, I see, there's a car in front of him. Oh, I forgot I have adapted this. It slowed down on its own. This is just wild. I have this on my car, so I know, like, I know how it works, and I love it on my car on road trips for exactly this kind of stuff, but having it on a truck, it's like I'm just, like, he's slowing down, I think, and then I realized, wow, we're only going 48, like, he's really slowing down, and I didn't have to do anything. So... getting into Monday afternoon. So yeah, I do like those digital boards that are here in the game and stuff like that. I think that's pretty neat. You know, and they switch around, and you know, some of that's the new map, because the other thing that this will let us do is, like, as SCS introduces new things, like, we'll be able to take advantage of them if they make sense right away, and some of them will be more like the California revamps. I know the last thing they posted was they're revamping Santa Cruz, stuff like that, and I think some of California has been redone already in the version we have here. Like, I think the revamp is like a 3-phase revamp. And I think they're done with phase 1, but they're on to phase 2. So this may turn out to be a little bit longer first episode than I was planning, because now that I took a longer job, like, this probably would have been enough on its own, because it's probably going to be a 15 or 20 minute run to get here, especially with my attempt to try to park without doing anything, without getting out. Especially with this container, these things are terrible because the wheels are on the back, and they turn much more aggressively than a trailer normally would. Alright, so a nice big rest area over to the left, but we're not needing that yet. So yeah, the nice thing right now is I do have full control. I don't have any other drivers in my company. Like, I don't really have a company other than me. But as far as I won't have money coming out or in, you know, unless it's something I'm directly doing. Alright, so again, because of the adaptive cruise control, as we slow down here in the tunnel, if we do, I'll be able to just stay here and not worry about it. So there we go. Nice echoes in the chamber there, in the tunnel. Chambers may be a little fancy for what that was. But sometimes when you're just trying to talk and keep you guys entertained, sometimes funny things come out. Alright, let's see if I can merge over. I can, but of course now everybody takes off because I downshifted enough, and now people will be mad at me. But I'm going to stay over here, given that people are getting on. Alright, so we've discovered Rock Springs, which is great, to be able to discover something without exiting. That doesn't always happen. So that is a good thing. I'll move back, I guess, because they're suddenly taking off, which would make sense, because I'm going 10 miles below the speed limit. I shouldn't really be catching a lot of things.
Keep right.
Alright, steak night.
Right.
It's making me hungry. I haven't eaten my breakfast yet. Oh, exit right. Never mind.
Exit right.
I better pay attention to what she's telling me. And yes, at this point, until I'm given a reason not to, I'm going to assume the GPS is going to work fine, given that I have no mod maps here. So I'm just going to drive as, again, you normally would
Turn right.
with something like this, as you wouldn't be second guessing and stopping and checking the map and whatever. Alright, looks like we can go. There, we got a left turn arrow for the groups there. I'll swing a little bit. Alright, that would take us back to Evanston. Oh, we're already here. Well, that's not bad. Now, again, let's see where they want us to park this thing. That might be bad.
Go straight.
So, and again, I do have the extended traffic light. I've come to love that, because the light cycles in the game are far, far too fast. And so, especially if you're mixing in real traffic along with everything else, I think that's where it gets ugly if you're using the base lighting. Where here, I think the lights are green long enough that things can clear. There's a lot of people coming from the other direction. I don't know that that would be realistic, but that's crazy. Look at all those. Because I was like, yeah, it's not too bad. There's, 7, 8 cars there. Now suddenly the world has arrived. Looks like a bunch of trucks, but we're not going very far, but we'll see what it looks like there. It's hard to tell behind us exactly how crazy it is. So yeah, as far as the, hey, I'm backing up, I'm using mirrors, this and that. The reason I use the mirrors that pop up on the screen there is turning, using the mouse to turn my head. I think it's a little distracting when you're viewing it,
Right.
and obviously it's just not a whole lot of fun to do. It's not a normal mechanic. If I had a VR headset or something, not planning on doing that, so don't get too excited. But if I had something like that, like obviously then it would be a little more natural, but right now it's just weird. So I mean, even the way I look left and right, I'm just using keyboard commands, and I'm just suddenly looking left and looking right. Like obviously there isn't the natural state of my head turning. So yeah, I know these, because then it's hard with that. They usually have you park where that thing gets in the way, so I'm guessing it's in this bay that they want me. Yep. And of course, they have the door semi-closed on the other side, because, why would they make it easy to just pull in? See, now this is where, oh boy. Like, I've never really played this way other than trying a couple times, but I'm not even sure if I'm going in the right bay. I think I am. And once again, it's one of those, like, I mean, I can do this here, given that it's the driver's side, but so I can at least get that view. I'm not sure that I'm cutting enough. I don't think I am. Because like here, I can't really see. Alright, let me do this a little differently, I guess. Pull up further forward. And now we'll, whoops, wrong direction. So that didn't help, but I didn't go very far, so. So hopefully that beeping's not terribly annoying as I hang my head out the window here, but this really ends up, I think, being the way that I need to do this to be able to have any shot of making this work. Alright, I think I'm alright now. Just that blind side is always so... You know, I give truckers credit for that, I'll tell you that. That's for sure. Alright, so as I said, now I don't know if I'm going to hit the building. Doesn't look like I am. I think I would have done it. I'll be doing it now if I was going to. So now I should be able to go back to my mirrors. So, amazingly, somehow, it worked. Alright, I'm starting to drift too far that way, so let me fix this up, but I think we're going to get in here. So maybe I've gotten better at backing up trucks in this game than I thought. Because, yeah, like I said, I've always been more... Whoops. Then as I say that, and then I do the wrong thing. So let me just fix myself here. So I need to do that, and then I should be able to kind of straighten out. Just play a little bit, get ourselves in the bay. At some point, there we go. I'm like, at some point they better tell me I'm here. Alright, so I don't think that was an insanely difficult one. No, it gave me 90, so... Alright, 477, so we've gone up a level. So, let's go get our skill point. Now again, normally I would do distance, but I think I'm not going to be doing a lot of things... A lot of long runs, again, unless you guys tell me otherwise. So I think I'm going to go ahead and... Do I do just in time or fragile? I think I'm going to do it just in time. So we're going to apply that there. Alright, let's check our email. Alright, so need money, we can help. And then Kenworth, we got the showroom in Ogden, so that was the brand I decided to set my company with. So that gets me that. But, you know, if we look at the bank, like, you know, we can get a loan, we could do things, but I'm going to try to avoid that. Because that's just how I would run a company if I was doing this in real life. I don't like to get into debt if I don't need to, and I'm okay working as a contractor. So again, if I go look at my career mode, we've now served 4 out of 95 companies. Got 1,255 depots though, so we have a long way to go. I like the total mass delivered. You're going to get to see how many crazy amounts of things we've done. We've gone it through 2 of 12 states already though. Wow, there's 113 viewpoints. See, like, this is the stuff that's kind of interesting. But 244 total miles, and looks like we've spent 35 real-time minutes. So maybe this isn't a terribly long episode, but so hopefully this will work. This will be something folks can get into if they're looking for some ATS content. Again, it wasn't my intent to stop the other series, but at this point, I think I just need to face reality and realize, like, we may just never get the updates we need. And at that point, that becomes a significantly different series as well. So, I think it's time to sunset that. We certainly had a good run there. And we'll start something new here, and at least this should be sustainable because I'm keeping things a bit more realistic and not not setting myself up for failure by adding a lot of mods that can cause me difficulty later. So, as always, if you've liked this video, if it's been entertaining for you to help get it out to more folks, I'd appreciate it if you drop a like if you haven't already. And certainly if you aren't a subscriber, I would love you to do that. I'm trying to grow the channel, and obviously to do that, I need more subscribers. So if you could do me that kindness, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I will see you next time.